Hey everybody, wondering about that whole craze that's sweeping the internet right now, the Mandela Effect? Stick around, we're going to actually tackle that subject. Hello once again and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host Prince Magnum and my lovely wife Princess Beirut is operating the camera right now. There's this whole craze all over YouTube and kind of all over the internet right now about this thing called the Mandela Effect. We'll get into that more when we get back inside, but one of the things that has come up on the Mandela Effect is the Ford logo has supposedly changed due to some sort of contamination with the timeline. Well, Project Spirit's been in my possession for the last 2 years, and we didn't start hearing about this till about a year ago. So has her logos changed? Well, let's get a closer look. We're going to look at the same parts and the same engine that you all on the Prince Magnum channel have looked at for the last 2 years. So let's get right to it. Let me pop the hood. And if I can get my lovely wife to step over here on her driver's side. And we're looking at the Project Spirit's engine bay. Okay? Now, you all are familiar with this car by now. And if you're just passing through, I've got enough video on it. And as time goes on, we're going to look deeper. So let's get her air cleaner on. Okay, and we're going to take a look at the logo on the valve cover. Now, right there is your Ford oval, and pretty much, I mean, that's the logo it has been this entire time. The only thing that has changed is the color of the valve cover, which we did that, okay, which what they're talking about is, you know, that whole pigtail thing, but you can still kind of see it right there. Ford was notorious for making different variations of the same thing, and that's what we're kind of seeing right there, you know, kind of a variation of the same thing. I guess that looks like a pigtail to me, you know, but there it is. I mean, the same thing that has been on the Ford logo since 1975, technically 1974, because that's when Spirit was built. Let's come right over here to this little piece. And there, if you, right here on the top.
I can't find it. Right there it is.
Okay, and it's really hard to see, but it's the same pigtail Ford logo that a lot of people are saying shouldn't exist. But, you know, in this timeline, that they never noticed it. But if you look, you know, again, it's the same variation. And from what I'm understanding from doing what little research that I have done, the Ford made basically several logos because there was a lot of people that were basically, you could change a logo a little bit and make a knockoff of it. So Henry Ford had this policy in place that basically he made several Ford logos so it would make it harder for knockoff companies. And that's basically what we're seeing right here. And I'm sure if we looked long enough and hard enough, we would find more stuff like that. So has Project Spirit been affected by the Mandela Effect? Not at all. Does the Mandela Effect exist? We'll talk about that inside. Okay folks, there you have it. Alright, we took a look at Project Spirit, which the first part of this video was done earlier in the day. As you can tell, it's later in the evening. I had to go over to St. Joe Park and do some community service on a crime I didn't commit, which we have talked about that in other videos. So let's get on with this. Alright, let's explain what the Mandela Effect is. The Mandela Effect
is actually named for a gentleman by the name of Nelson Mandela. Now, when Nelson Mandela went to prison in 1985, I think that's what they're saying, and he died in prison in 1985. He went to prison in South Africa. I was a kid in the 1980s, okay? So I didn't know anything about it, didn't know enough about it to really, I remember hearing the name. That's about the best I can do for you all. Now, fast forward to modern day, and supposedly Nelson Mandela passed in I think 2008, and he was the president of South Africa. And a lot of people I know in this country, I'm not sure around the world, believe that he had passed away in the 1980s. So how in the world did he become president of South Africa? So some people have theorized that there has been a contamination of the timeline. And there are now people who are going around, and believe it or not, there's entire YouTube channels completely and totally dedicated to this whole effect, that somehow we have crossed over into an alternate dimension. Basically, the two now coexist, and there are things within the dimensions, the dimension that we have crossed over into, that have now bled into this, into our timeline. That being said, okay, the evidence that these channels have presented are very compelling. By no stretch of the imagination, it is very compelling, and so compelling that I almost fell into this rabbit hole. Okay. However, after Princess Faye and I talked about it, and a long evening of prayer to the God of my understanding, I came to the conclusion let's take a look at the evidence presented, and let's see if we can debunk it. We've already done that with Project Spirit. Okay, those logos are the same, and again, Ford changed those up willy-nilly, and they're all licensed by Ford. Okay. Again, there was reason for that. Evidently, this country used to be great at knockoffs too at one time. Now, there are things that have come across my way, and it's like, well, I always thought it was this, but then, you get looking into it and you find out otherwise. Let's take a look at it from the standpoint where the evidence supports. Obviously, the Ford logo thing. The whole actual Nelson Mandela thing. One of the things that has come up has been the line from Forrest Gump. Another one that I seen was on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Another one that has come up, and the only one that I cannot debunk at all is the Shazam Kazam thing. And that sort of thing. I can't, basically in a nutshell, those are the only things that I can't debunk. Oh, that's the only thing I can't debunk. Everything else that comes across my way can easily be debunked. And if you will, what it boils down to, for you, the Maverick Nation, and passerbys of this video, what it really boils down to is life happens, and we weren't paying attention to the precise details. So when the precise details come up, we're confounded, we're confused. There is no contamination of the timeline. The only things that I have not been able to debunk at all, like I said, is the Shazam Kazam thing, but I think I'm on the track to debunking that one. And the only other one that I can't debunk at all, and that has not come up, is how in the hell there are people who think that the muscle car era ended in 1980 when it actually ended in 1970. There were cars that looked kind of like that, kind of behaved like muscle cars, but that stopped in 1976. But other than that, I mean, people are trying to say if that's the only other. Those are the two things that I cannot debunk, and the whole thing with muscle cars. In all honesty, the only thing that I can contribute to that is, that someone's trying to rewrite history. All that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and present the only one that can easily be debunked. The easiest one. Nelson Mandela himself. Basically this effect that bears the man's name. In the 1980s, it was easy for news outlets to screw up because of the fact that, in a game of telephone, it's really easy to screw things up. A case in point, during the First World War, which I know has been 100 years ago, Kaiser Wilhelm II, I remember hearing, I think it was Kaiser Wilhelm, had evidently died 3 times during the First World War. That being said, that means that the newspapers got it wrong. Is it possible that it could have happened in the 1980s? That they thought Nelson Mandela had passed and it may have just been one of his associates who died in prison, and what really actually happened was they got it wrong and the news outlets are afraid to admit it today? There's an excellent chance of that. And people are coming to conclusions, drawing up a very outlandish conclusion, and most likely it's just they messed up, okay? And rather than admit it, people are buying it, or like, well, they're not saying anything otherwise, so, and their overactive imaginations are getting the best of them. Folks, if you have that much of an overactive imagination, please use it to write some amazing books. Keep doing the YouTube videos because it's amazing stuff that you guys are doing. I just think that you can expand and go into better places than this whole theory. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. It's great entertainment. But for those of us in the Maverick Nation, myself and all of you, it's great entertainment. Don't fall down that rabbit hole. Okay? I think we're all smart enough to know otherwise. Okay? It's really easy to get caught up in that stuff. Alright, that brings us to the usual spot. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know Princess Faye did not want me to do this video, but I felt it was necessary. Because I know at some point, with the whole Ford logo being, kind of, it's starting to come more and more to the forefront, that people were going to say that, we're going to ask, has Project Spirit been affected by the Mandela Effect? And I knew I was going to have to answer that question then, so rather than wait for it, I'll go ahead and answer it now. Before anybody asks, so there you have it. The only way I would really buy into this is if all of a sudden I went out there and Project Spirit all of a sudden had had the engine I wanted under the hood, maybe a V8 or of some sort, a 302 or 351 Windsor. I'd be like, whoa, Anyhow, there you go. All right, as usual, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, you're missing out. Be sure to hit the bell icon. You'll be notified every time we upload a brand new video. As usual, get out there and work on a project. Use that active imagination. Build yourself a classic Ford or something. Or maybe a classic Chevy. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet. And as always, for every last one of you out there, every one of you, if no one out there has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24th. Thank you.
night, ladies.